Britain and France on Thursday convened a meeting of defense ministers from around 30 countries to press ahead with plans to deploy troops to Ukraine to police any future peace agreement with Russia. According to Associated Press, the meeting at NATO headquarters, the first of the so-called coalition of the willing at the level of defense ministers to refine the planning, comes after a visit to Kiev last week by senior British and French military officers. As usual with coalition gatherings, the United States will not take part, but the success of the coalition's operation hinges on U.S. backup, with airpower or other military assistance. However, the Trump administration has made no public commitment that it will do so. Amid that uncertainty and U.S. warnings that Europe must take care of its own security and that of Ukraine in future, the force is seen as a first test of the continent's willingness to defend itself and its interests. Its makeup will depend on the nature of any peace agreement, but the contingent is unlikely to be monitoring borders. Rather, it would be based further away from the ceasefire line, perhaps even outside Ukraine, and deploy to counter any Russian attack. Building a force big enough to act as a credible deterrent, UK officials have talked about possibly 10,000 to 30,000 troops, is proving a considerable effort for nations that shrank their militaries after the Cold War but are now rearming. Countries are also reluctant to contribute personnel without U.S. support. On Friday, representatives from around 50 nations will gather at NATO to drum up military support for Ukraine. That meeting will be chaired by Britain and Germany. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is not expected to take part.
Good afternoon.
Hello, sir. What are you expecting out of today's meeting?
First time in NATO.
Hopefully it will be productive.
Any concrete outcomes to expect?
After the meeting.
Good afternoon. So we can do a lot ourselves. We can do a lot as European nations. We have a lot of our own capabilities. At the same time, yes, still there are the details must be carved out how we cooperate with our partners. We believe strongly in transatlantic linkage. We believe that again those formats like Rammstein must be sustained, where US is also part of, but there are also other formats where US might not be part of. And I guess fairly enough that in our neighborhood, in European neighborhood, we Europeans should be able also to deal efficiently with aggressor countries, especially taking into account our capacities, our capabilities, our will also to, of course, invest in those challenging times that we are all facing.
We are seeing that Russia doesn't have enough desire for peace, so it's highly important that we are strengthening the Ukraine's position in military, in industrial field, and also at the financial field, and also increase the pressure for Russia to come to the negotiation table. And of course we are today having also the briefings from the military side that what kind of could be these security arrangements after the peace ceasefire or some kind of peace treaty.
From the Swedish position, we said it's important with some form of US engagement. I think it's important to make an assessment how this will affect NATO's other DDA activities, defense and deterrence activities, and of course there had to be some sort of rules engagement. But once again, it's a bit early to tell, and our focus predominantly right now is on supporting the Ukrainians as much and providing the Ukrainians with the new support packages. And that's our key focus right now.
Well, we are constantly working with this. It is also in the interest of the United States that there is stability and peace in Europe, because it is what is happening in Ukraine and how this war ends also has an impact on other security theaters like Asia Pacific, for example. So it's also in the interest of the United States.
But can we...
Quick question.
Ukraine has created a powerful electronic system called LIMA that disrupts the satellite navigation of Russian UMPK-equipped bombs, turning the once formidable weapon into an inaccurate and often useless munition. It's a breakthrough that has effectively eliminated one of Russia's key tactical advantages on the front lines. It was thanks to the huge number of cabs that the Russians actively advanced at the front. According to The Economist, the Ukrainian LIMA electronic warfare system successfully jams navigation signals used in Russian guided bombs with so-called CABs, Universal Planning and Correction Modules. This was reported by former German Defense Ministry official Nico Lang, noting that LIMA represents a real technological breakthrough surpassing both Russian and Western analogues. Unlike traditional electronic warfare systems, LIMA uses digital suppression. It combines jamming, spoofing, and elements of a cyber attack on navigation receivers. As a result, Russian air bombs lose the ability to accurately correct their trajectory and go off course. A Russian air bomb with a UMPK, such as the Fab 500 M62, is controlled using an inertial system and satellite navigation. If the GPS signal is lost, the bomb continues to fly, relying only on inertia, but the accuracy in this case drops sharply. The longer the bomb flies, the greater the deviation. For example, the similar American JDAM system has an error of 13 meters after 38 seconds of flight and up to 30 meters after 100 seconds. The Russian UMPK has significantly worse indicators. Deviations can reach 50 to 100 meters, especially with active use of electronic warfare by Ukraine. Even Russian military bloggers and propagandists have begun to acknowledge the effectiveness of Ukrainian electronic warfare. According to them, Ukrainian electronic warfare systems are deployed along bomb flight paths, causing navigation failures and a sharp drop in strike accuracy. This calls into question the effectiveness of the entire Russian doctrine of using guided aerial bombs. The LIMA system has become a serious problem for the Russian aerospace forces, effectively leveling their advantage in guided aerial bombs. Ukraine has proven that it is capable of not only defending itself, but also destroying the enemy's established tactical schemes with the help of its own technological developments.